Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to show you how to make this double-sided palette that I made here. And this one is a little bit more difficult to make than my last palette just because this is my first double-sided palette I've ever made and I tried to do it in a video. And you know, the first one's always the hardest, so just bear with me. And it came out nice. I'll give you some hints throughout the video on how to make it easier, better, what you can do, what you can get, just a bunch of different tips. So this is mine, and it looks like this. See, it's twice as thick as a regular palette because there's two sides. And the back is black, and the front is leopard with this bow. And the reason I put the bow like this was because I want it to be standing up like this. I don't want it to be like this. I don't know why. I just was weird like that. Then you open it up, and you have your eyeshadows in there. And I chose to put a little plastic protective piece in there, just so like if the eyeshadow were to fall or something, it's fine. So this is what it looks like, and I guess I could put eyeshadow over here so I can show you. But and I put a black one, nice. So that's what it looks like. And again, like I say throughout my video, if you don't want this part showing, I don't really care. This is a more functional than pretty palette for me, I guess. Just the inside, I don't really care how it looks. So you can cover this with tape or whatever you want to cover it with beforehand. And if you watch my old video, I tell you exactly how to cover this part, which is basically you just glue or tape anything down. So that's what my palette looks like. And stay tuned and I'll show you how to make it. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so for this you are going to need a pair of scissors, a razor blade or an X-Acto knife, a Sharpie, some clear tape if you're going to do the exact palette I'm going to do, 2 magnetic sheets. I bought mine from Walmart and they come in a package like this. If your eyeshadows that you're going to want to put in your palette have magnets on the back, I would suggest metal sheet. Make sure it's magnetic before you buy it. But I'm going to put Ben Nye shadows in here, which are already magnetic, or they're metal, and they stick to the magnetic sheet. You're going to need, sorry I'm moving you there, a ruler, a book, foam board. Now this used to be like as big as a poster board, but I've already like chopped it to death, so I'm just gonna use that. And place to cut on. And glue. I'd suggest this one because I tried to use tacky glue, which is great. It's very sticky and works great, but it's kind of hard to spread. This is a lot easier. And then the last thing you'll need is whatever paper you want to be the cover of your palette. And I'm going to do leopard. And the back is going to be black, so I have black. These are this is scrapbooking paper I found at Hobby Lobby. I think it's like, yeah, it's like 44 cents. I just have a bunch, but that's my last piece. That's why I'm not doing my whole palette. Because I only have this piece left. And then this is just black construction paper. Okay. So, if you watched my other palette, making video, that's probably going to make your life a lot easier. It's going to make my life a lot easier. Because I'm not going to go through every single step like I did last time. I'm just going to tell you what you need to do. So, the first thing I did is, just like in my other video, I got my book and I cut off the cover. All you do is take your razor and just slice it along this edge and it comes off nice and clean. And I already did that, so just to save time. And then I also just measured how thick I wanted the edging of my palette to be, the little walls. So as thick as you would like. This is another palette that I made last time. This is for this, the little walls that hold your eyeshadows in. So as thick as you want that to be is how thick you want this to be. I already measured them, cut them, so they look like this once I cut them out of the whiteboard. Just like that. that. And then I measured them to my book. So that goes just nicely to the edge. So since this is a double-sided palette, you're basically going to make 2 bottom pieces like I made last time. So you need 4 long pieces, because 2 per side, and 4 shorter pieces. 4 shorter pieces that go right here. 2 for each side. So I already covered mine with black paper. I just saved this one so I could show you how I covered it. I covered it with black paper, but that's just so you can see how long that one is. And I measured it so it fits perfectly, like both pieces fit on both sides. I hope. So I did that. And then, so once you have all your pieces cut, I covered mine with black paper because I didn't have any black duct tape, which would have made my life like a bazillion times easier. But I really didn't want to put gray or clear over white, so I just had black construction paper. And I poured my glue into a little cup, and I have a little sponge. And I cut strips of paper like this. See? So if you want to know exactly how long mine is, my walls are about 1 centimeter thick. And my scrap of paper that I'm going to cover it with is about 3.5 centimeters thick. Okay. So what I did was I put glue in my little jar. And I really prefer to do it like this as opposed to putting it from the bottle straight onto the paper because it just gives it a smoother appearance. You know how sometimes when you glue things that you get like you could see exactly where you put the glue onto the paper? I'm just not a fan of that. I glue everything like this way just because it just gives it a smoother, cleaner appearance. Plus it's a lot easier to cover the whole thing than it is to have to like put the glue. And my glue is drying up because I already did the other pieces. So I just did it all the way to the edge, and this is the trickiest part of making this palette. I would honestly, if I were you, I would just pick up whatever color of duct tape to match my palette because this like gluing strips on these little white things sucks. So, but I didn't feel like going to the store, I didn't feel like getting ready, and I have all these things, so I thought I might as well use them. So that's why I'm making my life a lot harder. I just cover all of this with glue. And then I take my white piece and I put it right in the middle, press down, make sure it's kind of centered, and then, oh, I make sure I'm in the camera, I have to pull it, so you can get the edge and pull it up like this so that it's tight. And then you just kind of stick it. So you just wrap it around to the other side and make sure it's nice and tight. See, that's one side. I glued one side and then you just do the other. So it's basically, it's like not hard to figure out how to cover a piece of material or piece of foam. But this is the way I did it. So then you have that. And then you have like a little leeway in there. See how you have extra paper? What I did was I cut one side off on both sides. So I just cut down the side and cut the one side off, which I cut the side off. I cut off the side of the paper where the 2 sides meet together. Can you see this crease right here? How there's that side. So I cut that side off so that I can put a dab of glue right here and just fold this down. It doesn't have to be perfect because I'm going to tape it over. So all of these little edges are going to become seamless. Again, black duct tape would have made my life so much easier. Now, so that's what it looks like after you're done with it. Just a piece of black, and see how the edges are not very pretty? It's alright because we are going to tape those suckers down. But I'm not. See, so here's a taped one. Now, I don't know if you can see it on camera how it's kind of white, like the black isn't really black. I knew not to do this, but I did it anyway. I didn't let these dry, the glue dry completely through, so this is what happens when you put tape over wet glue under paper. It gets ugly. So you should let these dry completely before you tape them. See, so all my other ones are not taped. I didn't tape them because I want them to dry before I put glue over them. So then, since you have to wait for the glue to dry in order to tape them, we're going to leave those aside and move on to the next step, which is putting your two covers together. Now, I forgot one thing that you do need is duct tape. I forgot one other thing you need is duct tape. You don't necessarily need it, especially if you're going to use the clear, but duct tape is cheapest, this gray kind, and it works really well for your binding. So I use that and then cover it with whatever. So my cutting board has some nice little measurement boxes on here. And I'm going to place my book two inches apart from each other. See, so there's 2 inches. And then, because the reason, this may seem like it's a lot of space, but it's not once you duct tape and glue and put everything on there, plus this time when you make a palette, you're going to have double the space that you need to cover. So I might put it about, yeah, I'll put it 2 inches. So I put it 2 inches apart, and I'll just keep my fingers crossed that that's far enough. But this is all trial and error. And this is my first palette I've made like this, just FYI. So I'm learning as I'm going here. Granted, I've made like a million other palettes, but still. So what I do is I put 3 pieces. Make sure that your book is pulled tight where your other piece is before you put your other. See, so I put 2 pieces there. And they don't really have to be that long, I'm just kind of cutting them too long. And 1 piece in the middle. Okay? And then I flip it over. And I cover up the sticky part with the tape. And I know you guys are probably going to hate the sound of me cutting this tape, but sorry. Ah. And honestly, this part doesn't really have to be perfect. It's just your base. Okay. So now I have something that looks like this. And if you watch my other palette video, I had the exact same thing in the other video, except for these are there's a lot wider of a space here. And that is, again, because you have to have double the space. So one side is going to be on this side and one side is going to be on this side. So you're going to want them to close nicely. See? So that closes nicely. So 2 inches should do it. And then I put a piece. I don't know if it's gonna fit this time. Okay, I guess I have to put 2 pieces. All the way across like this. So it's kind of like you're making your own new bookbinding. There's a little tape string. Cut that off. Okay. I'm gonna put one on the inside. Straight down the middle. And then make sure you smooth out all of these little edges so that when you cover them, you can't really tell. Alright, so you have something that looks like this. And you can just like kind of move this so that it's nice and pliable and it'll fit the shape of your new palette. So the reason we're doing this first, and I did mention this, is because I am going to glue my cover on this time as opposed to the duct tape cover because I don't have any duct tape. So, and like I said before, you need to let the glue dry before you clear over it. And again, with this, you can use anything. You don't have to use, paper. You don't have to use duct tape. You can use anything. I'm pretty sure if you Mod Podge, which I don't have anymore, and that would have been wonderful. I love Mod Podge. You can do everything with that stuff. But wallpaper, any kind of paper, some kind of fabrics you could do anything. Just use your imagination. And now I'm just going to glue. I'm going to put glue all over the top of my book right here. So I'm just going to spread it all out. And I only have one sheet of that leopard, so the bottom is going to be black. See, like, you don't have to go out and buy everything, all the best stuff to make these things. You can use, I think all of the stuff I use today you can find around your house. Maybe if you don't have a book you want to cut up, I like to get from the thrift store a cheap, like I think I paid $2 for like 9 books. It's a book series, and when you have a book series and they're all the same size of books and you want to make more than one palette, it makes it look more uniform, the size and whatnot of the book. Because you can cut your book covers, but that's a lot of work, so, and I don't do that. Because I'm lazy. And if you cut your book right, you can still read the book, so it's not like you're wasting. It's not like you're killing a book. Okay, so I have my half of the palette. Actually, I'm going to do more than half because I'm not sure how far my paper is going to go. And then I'm just going to stick my paper on there evenly. And then flip it over to make sure it's even. And try not to get any glue on your paper because once you tape it, that's not going to look good. But I'm going to cut that part off anyway. Okay, so there's my bottom sheet. I'm just going to rub it so it's all nice and stuck on there. And then I'm going to put my leopard piece just right over the top. Actually, oh yes, just one. Just kidding. Thought I was going to have an issue there. Okay, so again, just with the glue, I'm going to go all over. this book. And wallpaper, every time I go to Home Depot or somewhere, I always want to pick up like, or contact paper you could use. I don't have any more because I lined all my drawers with it. But that you could use, that would look nice. And it's sticky, so that's a lot easier than this. And a lot of different paper, like a lot of different, like contact paper, duct tape, you don't have to go over it with like Mod Podge or clear duct tape to make sure like the paper isn't exposed, because if paper gets wet and it gets dirty, you can't wipe it clean, you know? So, but again, this is what I had, so this is what I'm going with. Oops. And I'm going to put this paper on there like this because it's not as wide as my black paper, and I need it to wrap around the edges, so I'm going to put it on like this. And then I'm going to press it down. And then I'm going to kind of move my book around like this to make sure that this is all down. See, so this doesn't look. And then I'm just going to rub out the bubbles that are in the paper on my cover here. Okay, so then the last thing you're going to do is I'm going to cut it. See how much paper I have here? I'm going to cut it about, so there's about maybe 3/4 of an inch extra. And right here, it's not 3/4 of an inch, obviously, but you can just cover that with your magnet anyway. So I'm doing a very, very sloppy job, but it doesn't matter, because it'll be covered anyway. But if you do cut it neatly, it's probably easier, but since I don't like to make my life easier, apparently. And then now, I'm going to take my glue bottle, not my brush, and I'm going to glue all along the side, like that, and I'm going to fold it over tightly so that it sticks really well. And again, Elmer's glue isn't like ideal because there's a lot more tacky of a glue and that would work better. But that, what is it called? Aleene's tacky glue, which I do love, is just so hard to spread it. It's just so thick and goopy. It's just, that's why I love Mod. You know what I'm talking about. Whatever. Having a brain issue today. Then I'm going to do the other side of the black and fold it over. Nice and tightly. I'm just going to hold it until it wants to stay down by itself, because you have to hold it for a while with this glue. And since there's not that much leeway from the edge to the inside. I hate these little duct tape glue string things. Then I'm going to do this side, and I did not glue this down. So glue all the way to the edge. And then I'm going to glue this piece down. Fold it over, pull it tight. Oops, but don't rip it. Paper's a lot more fragile than duct tape. So that's what this side looks like. See, it's black, and then you open it. And then I did mess up because I shouldn't have cut it that thin. It's going to be hard for me to wrap it around this side. Good job, Amanda. Let's see if I can do this. don't cut your paper that thin. Especially when you have so much extra. I basically just made my life harder for no reason because I didn't have paper. And then you just kind of keep on working with it until it sticks down, until it stays down. Just glue on my table. Yeah, make sure you have a table that you can get dirty that will wipe clean easy, or you don't care if it gets messed up. And stuff. Okay. Now I'm going to do this corner. Actually, I'm going to do this side just like I did the other side. Okay. Oh my goodness, this video is already at 24 minutes. Then the last side. So, this is what your paper looks like, and you can feel that it's kind of wet, your palette in here, so you're just going to have to let it dry. And make sure you work this piece because you do not want it to dry and then rip the paper because you're trying to make it mold the way, or fold the way you want to. Okay? And just a tip. If you don't want this piece showing inside your palette, you have to cover it. But I'm not going to cover it because I just don't care. I don't feel like it. But you will be able to see it. So that's what it looks like so far. So I have my paper glued down for my cover, and I have all my pieces glued. So then I'm going to let this dry completely, and probably tomorrow I'll finish it because I want it to dry completely before I glue it, before I clear tape it all the way over. Okay, so keep watching and I'll finish tomorrow. Alright, so I'm back. It's the same day actually because it dried, but I let my walls dry and then I taped over them, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. But I just wanted to tell you that I'm going to add this little bow. It's a red bow. Well, it's not little, but I just drew it on a paper. I didn't have any red construction paper, so I just colored it and then cut it out, outlined it in black. Now I'm going to add it and I'm going to put it like this. You don't have to. And I'm probably going to like this one better because my old palettes that I was making, I made two of them, one for me and one for my sister. It has like this fabric bow, which is cute, but it sticks up, and if you have more than one palette, it just kind of bugs that you can't sit your palettes straight on them. So I'm going to add this flat bow, and I'm going to put it like this. I made it nice and big, and I'm going to put it to the side like this, as opposed to like this side, because I want people to open it like a book, you know. I don't want, if somebody opens my palette, I don't want them to open it like this and look, and there's things up here. I want them to open it like a book. So, whatever. So I'm going to glue that on there, and I'm not going to wait. So I'm just going to put, I don't want to have to wait for this dress. I'm going to put a dab, it's a little dab right here. If any glue would come out. Let me see. Just a little dab, just to hold it in place, because I'm going to tape over it anyway. And then I'm going to put it right there like that, so it looks like that. And then, so I'm going to let that dry just a little bit before I tape over my palette. So, I already taped my walls, and I saved one so I could show you how to do it. So this is a dry little wall, and then all you need is a piece of tape, a piece of clear tape, and I'm using whatever this kind of tape is. And I already have my piece cut, and I stuck it to my black desk, and black paint came off. So that's fine. Now what you do is you put your tape down. I know you can't see it because it's clear. You get your wall, and you put the side that you want facing up, so the one that there's not like the crease of paper, like where the folds, just like the flat surface. I know you can't see. I don't know why I'm showing you, but so you want the side that you want to face up, you want to face that down on the tape. Okay, and then you have this piece, and you cut it so there's about 1 centimeter on both sides. Okay. And then what I did, just to make it easier, is I cut the corners off. Like that. I don't think you can be able to see it. Can you see it? Yeah. See, so it looks kind of like a triangle. So do that to both sides. And then I just fold the top down first, both sides, and then I tighten and fold one side, press it down nicely, and then the other side. And press your sides down nicely. And then that's what you got. Okay? So now I'm going to tape my palette. And you basically just tape over the whole thing. It's not rocket science here. So I'm going to cut a piece, and I'm going to place it half on the edge of my palette and half off so that I can fold it over. See? So it looks like that. And then I'm just going to fold it over. And I should have been more careful about those edges, but I didn't. I wasn't, so now I'm going to have to cut them off, even though you should just be able to fold them over if you do it correctly, which I did not. Okay. Then you just keep going, and you want to line up your pieces of tape each time. You can overlap it a little bit, it won't hurt. Can't really tell. Be careful with your bow, because you don't want to mess it up. And with the bow, you have to get it perfectly over, and I did not. I got it crinkled. So I'm going to move my bow so that it's flat. And if you get little creases, you can always just really smooth them over and you won't be able to tell. Like I did, because I messed up after I told you not to do that. And then you fold it over. And this is not as easy as the duct tape one, because you can't really undo it, because the paper will just get all messed up. You can't undo it and then redo it. So see how my bow isn't sitting flat anymore? You have to be very careful about that, but I digress. And cut a piece. And tape it down. Again, be very careful with your bow. And smooth out all your edges. Yeah, this isn't going to be the neatest one. The first one never is, as far as I'm concerned. When I first make something for the first time, it's never perfect. Obviously, since a lot of trial and error. But this is coming out nicely. Oops. Having a little tape difficulty. Okay, so I'm just going to finish taping up my palette, and then I will show you how to put it together. So, stay tuned. Okay, so I'm back, and my palette is all nice and taped. My palette, I chose to make it go this way. Doesn't really matter. I guess you could still look at this way if you wanted to, but I just wanted my bow on that way. It's all nice and taped all along the back. It does take some getting used to having to clear tape the whole thing over. It's not the easiest, but I suggest you practice on something else first to make sure that you don't have any bubbles or anything, because you can't really peel it off. There's not much room for error, so you have to be very careful. So anyways, that being said, I'm ready to make the inside. Okay, so now we're almost done. Pretty much as good as done. So I'm just going to take my magnetic sheets, and these come with the back because they're self-adhesive. So all you have to do is peel off. All you have to do is peel off the white sheet, and they're basically ready to stick on. So I'm going to just stick it on, just like that. Not hard, and if it's not perfectly straight, it doesn't matter because you have to add your walls to things, so it's not the end of the world. Let me fix this light so it's not like blinding you. I'm probably doing the same thing. Anyways, and then this is kind of where it's a lot different from the last pellet I made for you guys, because I'm going to put another magnetic sheet on the other side. So on the top side, I'm going to put a magnetic sheet also. See, so there's two magnetic sheets as opposed to the one that there was last time. Okay. Oh, and again, if you guys care if this shows, all you have to do is cover it with tape or paper or whatever. I just don't really care, so I just left it. And then you have your walls, and you're going to place all your walls down. Oh, and I forgot, you need a hot glue gun and glue sticks. That was not part of mine. So you just basically, same as the other video, put glue all on your little wall, and you stick it down. And I'm going to do both sides to make sure that this will close. Oh, and don't do what I just did. See? Everybody makes mistakes. I just put it on the wrong side of my wall there. That side even has wet on it. It's a good thing I clear taped it because you could just peel it off. It still makes me kind of sad. Totally just messed this one up. Alright. I'll peel it off later. So you just put glue all on your wall and stick it down. See, and then your palette will close still because you made it wide enough. See how the double walls there? This wall's all messed up because this is also the one that I tried to tape when it was still wet. Okay. So then you're just gonna place all your walls on. Make sure you glue the right side, unlike me. So need a glue stick. Okay, so there's one side of your palette, and maybe in the future, because I know how to make these palettes a few different ways. This is just the easiest way, but maybe I'll make it, because I know you can also cut out the piece of foam in a perfect square so that you don't have like these little seams. If you really don't like that. To me, it really doesn't make a difference to me. I'm not really picky about these things. So now I'm gonna do the other side. The exact same thing to the other side. Glue it on there. Last wall, and I think it's not gonna fit because this one is too fat. Make sure you do the right measurement. Oh no, it fits. Barely fit. Okay. Now you can remove all of your little whatchamahoozits, all little strings from your hot glue. And then this is your finished product. Actually, it's not finished, but it's almost finished. And in my last video, so this is what it looks like all along the sides. I told you guys that I would make a video showing you how to magnetize these things, and for the life of me, I ordered magnets after I made that video. I cannot find the little baggie of magnets anywhere. Like, they're just like gone. And I have one little magnet. So I did order some yesterday, but yeah, I can't find them. But they're these little tiny magnets, and they're like the Inglot ones, and these are little heavy duty little tiny magnets. Can you see that? They're heavy duty. So what I would do, what I'm going to do once I get more, is you can either just like put it on top like that and then put a piece of clear tape over it so it stays. Like, you can hot glue that and then put a piece of clear tape over it. Or what I do is I take my X-Acto knife, which I do not have with me, and I just dig a little hole, just enough so you could shove it in there, put glue in there, shove it in there, and put a piece of clear tape over it. And that makes it stay perfectly. And I put it on both sides, and there you have it. But I don't have more than one, so I don't know where they went. They disappeared. Yeah, so another thing that I'm going to do with this particular palette is I don't want, so because you open it like this and you're going to have eyeshadows on this side and on this side, and I don't want my eyeshadows to be able to fall on each other like when you're carrying them or anything. That's really going to irritate me. So this is just like a little Betsy Johnson box that my wallet came in. I'm not going to use the box. I'm just going to cut this clear thing, and it's like the perfect size. I'm just going to cut it just so it can be like a protective layer over the top. Because I was going to make like another little wooden layer out of a book, but I really didn't want to be able, like, I was going to make another layer, like a permanent layer, so you have to like flip it back and forth, but I really didn't want to do that because I just want to be able to like get my eyeshadow and be like, okay, I want this one. I don't want to have to be flipping back and forth. So you can do that, but it's just more of a hassle when you're using it, so I chose not to. Now, so I have this clear sheet, and I chose the little XO Betty one part, and this is perfect, the perfect size. So you can either just leave it on here like this, or you can put a piece of clear tape and connect it to like one of the sides. Like, you could tape it right here and then tape it right here so that it flips back and forth, so when you use it you can just flip it open like that and leave it. But I'm just going to leave it in here like that because I want to be able to take it out. So yeah, and then you have to kind of work with your little binding, but that'll get nice and loose after a while and sit nicely, especially when you have your magnets on there. Maybe I'll do an updated video, or I'll just do a quick how to magnetize a palette video since I didn't do it last time either. But yeah, let me show you. See, I have my MAC palette. This is like my first ever MAC palette. Can you see it? It's like all falling apart. It has tape. I bought it when I was like in high school, like early high school. And these Ben Nye ones don't sit in here, like they don't stay, because obviously the MAC palettes are not magnetized. They do have the metal sheeting in there, so if an eyeshadow is magnetized or has a magnet on the back, that will stay, but if it's just a metal pan, it will not stay. And some metal pans do not stay, just only certain ones, so just word of warning. So yeah, I have another palette full of them, so that's why I made two-sided. But yeah, that's how it looks. They fit perfectly, they stay, they're very nicely fitted in there, so. And see how it goes like this, how it's not even, how it lifts over. Don't worry, when you put your magnets there, it'll be like that, perfect. It'll be perfectly straight. So I'll probably do an updated video and show you how to do that. Don't forget to put your protective piece in there. Yeah. So I hope you guys liked it. Bye.